That's 2 burgers with everything. Fries and 2 bubblies, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll call you.
Okay. It'll be ready in a few minutes. They'll call me.
This is a very nice restaurant, Steve.
Oh, I'm glad you like it, Nancy Beth.
I mean, it's so nice.
Yes, I always thought it was nice.
Do you come here often?
Well, not too.
Oh.
Miss Sutherland?
I guess they'll be bringing us some water pretty soon.
Oh, that'll be nice. I like water.
Mr. Grove, please.
Look what I found.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I know who that guy is. G.M. Chase. G.M. Chase elected executive chairman of the party in Minnesota. Well, my dad's not going to like this.
Why not?
Well, because now that Mr. Chase is executive chairman, my dad has to kind of take orders from him. And if you knew my dad, you'd know he'd never do that. Not from a man like Mr. Chase.
What's wrong with Mr. Chase?
Well, my dad says he's a political opportunist.
What's that mean, Steve?
Well, it means that he'll say anything to make himself look good, whether he believes it or not.
That certainly doesn't sound very honest.
It isn't. That's why my dad doesn't like him.
What's it like being a congressman's son?
I think it's pretty great.
Steve, maybe your father will be president someday. I know my father'd vote for him.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got elected. You know, he's about the best man I've ever known. I sure hope I can be like him.
Are you going into politics?
Well, sure. The Morley men always do. My grandfather was a senator.
Gee, that's neat, Steve.
Mr. Morley?
I think you'd make a neat president, Steve.
Well, gee, thanks.
Mr. Morley!
Mr. Morley? Hey, that's me. Excuse me, Nancy Beth. Hello? Yes, but he's asleep. Who?
G.M. Chase. Don't wake him. But would you please ask him to call me at the Carnegie Hotel first thing in the morning?
Yeah, I'll tell him, Mr. Chase.
Thank you, Miss Chase.
Welcome, Mr. Morley.
I have a full day, so I would appreciate it if we could get down to the reason for this meeting, Mr. Chase.
I'm making it a point, Congressman, to personally meet all the prominent members of our great party.
Very commendable activity for a newly elected executive chairman. But my politician's instinct tells me that there's more to this invitation than that.
Your politician's instinct is correct, Mr. Morley. We want a small favor.
Oh? What sort of favor?
The day after tomorrow, I'm to make a speech at my old university, which also happens to be your old university. I've selected you to introduce me.
Oh, I see.
We'll meet here at 10 in the morning. I hope that's convenient.
Well, as a matter of fact, it is most inconvenient. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to select someone else.
I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to rearrange your schedule, Congressman.
That is completely out of the question, Mr. Chase. Now, if you will both excuse me.
Morley! You know, Morley, those senators, they really have it made.
I beg your pardon?
Senators, elected to office for 6 nice, long years.
So?
Whereas a member of the House, such as yourself, is elected for only 2 years.
Just what are you getting at, Mr. Chase?
Well, you no sooner get elected than you have to start worrying again.
Yes, that's right.
Things like campaign funds and party cooperation and
Without a party behind him, a man doesn't have much chance these days.
even the most modest campaign costs a fortune. Don't you agree, Mr. Morley?
Campaigns are expensive, yes.
Can I expect you at 10 then?
I'll let you know later.
Congressman. Not too much later.
Have you heard that politics is the art of the possible?
Yes?
Do you know what it means?
Well, I guess I never thought too much about it.
It means that in order to be a successful politician, quite often we have to make compromises.
Well, what kind of compromises?
Remember a boy named Roger Carpenter?
Yes?
You didn't like him very much, did you?
Well, gee, Dad.
But his father had a sailboat, and you had a lot of fun on it, didn't you?
Yes.
So, you found a way to get along with Roger.
Well, sure,
You gave a little, and you received a little in return. Now, that sort of thing happens over and over again in politics. And the goal, or at least my goal, is to compromise as little as possible, but as much as necessary. You understand?
Did Mr. Chase ask you to make a compromise?
Yes, he did.
You're not going to do it, are you? Not with him.
It's just like you and Roger and the sailboat. Only in this case, my compromise has to do with political expediency.
Well, that's the exact same thing you always accuse him of. Political expediency.
Yes, I know.
Well, what kind of a compromise are you going to make with him?
He's going to make a speech at the university, and I am going to introduce him.
You mean you're going to stand up there and say, here's this real swell friend of mine who's going to make a speech, so listen to him.
Yes.
Boy, and I think I told Nancy Beth you might be president someday.
Sometimes even presidents have to make compromises.
I don't believe it. I don't believe you.
Well, it is true, Steve. And if you can't stomach it, perhaps you better pick something other than politics to spend your life on.
Well, I wouldn't be a politician now for anything in the world. Not for anything.
I didn't have very much luck.
That's the second time I've witnessed that scene, Dad. The last time was 25 years ago, and then it was you who went storming up those stairs.
Oh.
More coffee?
Please.
Mrs. Morley?
No, thank you, dear.
No matter how much we discuss it, I would rather give up politics than lose the respect of my son.
I think you've only lost his respect temporarily, Mr. Morley.
Has he said anything to you that would indicate that?
Well, no, he's still very upset.
Look, whether Steve goes into politics or not isn't the important thing. I want him to understand the kind of world he has to live in.
I think I share Stephen's troubles. I would still like to believe there is a Santa Claus.
Wouldn't we all?
Since you're trying to convince Stephen that it is necessary to play this game of politics,
Stephen and his governess, I have a hunch.
it is very important that he understand, Mr. Morley.
Oh, he'll understand eventually, Katie.
Eventually is a long time. Couldn't it be sooner?
You're asking for a small miracle.
Well, maybe if we women stop chattering and leave you alone, you'll come up with one.
Oh.